Okay, boom. What's going on, everyone? Thought I'd do a quick little video update here going over the CV app for the Odin Project's curriculum. So the CV app, resume generator, is the first project in the React section as part of the Odin Project. It's a tough-ass project, really, really hard, but kind of covers all the key React concepts such as state, props, components, things like that. So I'll kind of just show off what I did with my project here and kind of break down the code to the best of my ability. Pretty retarded people, so I'll try and explain to you the best I can what's going on. But here it is right here. Here's CV and resume generator. And you can style this or go as crazy you want with this. You can make more sections, but at a minimum, you're going to have personal details, education, professional experience. And of course, you can add more if you like, add more details, what have you. But there's going to be a form portion. It's going to be all the stuff on the left-hand side here, all these forms, and the CV portion of things on the right-hand side here. So quick demo. Some features we got here. We got a little drop-down menu for each section, like that. If I render some content here, or type in some content in these forms here, notice it renders in two places. We got a little content rendering below the form, but also on the CV portion of things. We also have the ability to edit the data. Notice it deletes the entry, repopulates the input fields with the values that you previously put. We can make our entry or update entry there and click submit. Boom. Big features with education and experience sections is you can make multiple entries. So let's say you're a really smart guy, you went to a bunch of different schools, got a bunch of different fucking degrees, all that stuff. You can enter multiple different entries in here like this. Just entering some random BS in here. Let's say you went to 3 different schools. You know, it's going to be important. You're filling out a resume. You have a bunch of different education experience. You should be able to add more than one input in there. So boom, that's what we do for education and experience. I'll show that as well. For experience, you can add multiple different entries like so. Add a big long description of what you did for your job there. Boom, like that. And there we go. Entered a lot of BS in there. I probably entered so much that's starting to flow off the screen there. Okay, so other features we got here. Sorry about that. We can delete things as well, which is good. We can delete entries. And of course, like we said, we can also edit them as well. Boom, you click edit. It's going to repopulate the input fields with the values that you entered. We can make our updates here. And boom, it's going to add it back into the list there, to the content below the form. So boom, that's the CV. That's a CV app right there. That's kind of what the end product looks like there. Not a perfect project here, but enough of me talking BS here. Let's get into the code review. Let me try and break this down to the best I can. Again, fair warning, guys, I'm pretty retarded, but I'll try and explain what I did the best I can. So in our app here, this is really going to have all our handler functions. So if you notice, whenever we submit form data, let's say I refresh this and I submit an entry for personal details. Whenever we submit an entry in any of these forms here, it's going to be saved into an object and added into an array. So for personal details, starts out as an empty array. And whenever we enter some data in the form, we click submit, it's going to be called in this handler function here, which is going to take all that data that we entered, turn it into an object, and add it into the array there. So for handle submit personal, we are making a copy of the array, because in React, we never want to mutate state or update things directly. We kind of do it in an indirect way. So we make a copy of the array there and add the updated object along with it like that. Same thing for handle submit education. So if we fill out an entry there, it's going to get added to that array. Boom. So it's going to call this function here. It's going to make an updated object, and it's going to add that updated object along with a copy of that array there. So you're going to have a handler submit function for each section: personal, education, experience. Excuse me, sorry about that. And so yeah, you're going to have your handler functions in here. Everything's going to start out as an empty array, but you're going to have the ability to add as many entries as you want into the array, as long as you're making a copy of the array and then passing in the updated object. And you can add as many different entries as you like, or as many data as you like in all the different sections. Okay, so that's what we're doing there. And then down here, we're passing what's called props to these different components here. You can think of these just like variables. So I know I'm going to be need to be calling the handle submit function within the personal details component. So I'm going to pass it as props, or kind of as like a variable into that component. I know I'm going to be mapping through or looping through the personal details array to render data in, both below the form, but also on the CV portion side of things, like that. So I know I'm going to be passing that to the component so I can use it. And same thing for experience too. I need to be looping through the array there of the entries. And so I'm going to pass them to the component so I can use them. And same thing for the CV component as well. Everything that gets rendered on the right-hand side, I'm going to be passing some props to that too. So I know I'm going to be going through the personal details form. So I'm going to pass this props to that function. It's going to map through it and render the content to the screen. So it gets rendered in 2 places. Boom. So I'll just break down the personal details and education sections. Guys, the code's going to be really identical in all the sections here. Personal details code is going to look almost exactly the same as education and experience. So I'll really only go over a couple sections here. You guys will get the basic gist of it. So we're starting out personal details here. Okay, so we have our use states. We're starting out as blank here, but those are going to be changed. Okay, that's all our input fields. So our name, email, address, phone. Okay, and then we have our clear personal details input. So whenever submit's pressed, it's going to clear the details, like so. I'll just kind of show that in action. Boom, we enter this here. Boom, it's going to clear those details there, just to make way for a new entry. Okay, we have our handle delete function here using the filter method. I got this code, or got inspiration this from the React docs there. If you look into if you're confused on how to update an array or how to remove things from an array, they have some really good sections on that. So definitely look into the React docs for that. But what I think we're doing here is we're just filtering out anything where the keys don't match. And that's what we're doing there. So probably doing a terrible job of explaining that, but go to the React docs. If you're confused on working on a React project and you're confused on how to remove something from an array, you look up that in the React docs, and I'm sure you'll find your answer. That should be the first place where you go to. Any React trouble you get with, go to the docs right away. The docs are great. They have a lot of good examples and exercise that you can play around with to help your understanding. It's great. I love the React docs. Excuse me, I got another cough coming, guys. I'm sorry. Jesus, I'm sorry. It probably sounded terrible. We have our handle edit function here. So if you remember, whenever we click the edit button, it's going to repopulate those input field values with whatever you put previously. That's our handle edit button there. Okay, and then we have a return object here. So down here, I kind of mentioned this earlier, but our input fields here, we have our onChange event. Whatever you type in the input field, it's going to be set in state, and all those values will be passed to our specific handler function in personal details. So we have all our name, email, address. It's called in our handle submit function, which is an app, and it's right up here. Boom. Those details get passed to here, get made into an object, and then we make a copy of the array and add the updated object into there. As many different entries as we like. Okay. What else? We got personal details, the CV component side of things. I think that was it for the personal details section there. Yep, after we click submit, we're just going to clear the or clear the input form. That's basically what that's doing. And also, I kept on probably said this 100 times, but we got content rendering in 2 places, below the form and also on the CV portion of things there, like that. So that's why we're also taking the personal details form, the array of entries there, or mapping through them, and then we're just rendering to the screen. So in our edit button there, excuse me, once we click edit again, mentioned this already, but we click edit, it's going to delete that entry. It's still going to repopulate with the old data that we give it in the input fields. We can make our edits here, and then boom, it's going to update our entry like that. So when I click the edit button, it's going to delete that entry from there, repopulate its values there, and click submit. So that way it's not duplicating. You're not making like 2 of the same entries, if that makes sense. Okay. That's what we got going on there. And then we also have our handle delete function right here. Kind of already explained that using filter. Got that code from the docs there. Very helpful. Good old React docs. And then we have our CV component here. Boom. So we're passing some props into it like this. The personal details form array, which holds an array of all the data in there. So Okay, we want to render it in 2 places, so we're going to have to map through it here and then render it in this CV portion of the thing. CV, and in the CV portion of the app there. On the right-hand side there. It's rendered in 2 different places. So boom. Guys, that's really about it, because the education experience section is going to be the exact same thing. You're going to have your state variables up here, which are going to be edited. We're going to be changed throughout the process. You have your clear education inputs function, our handle edit function. It's going to repopulate those input values. We have our handle delete function. In our input fields here, we have an on change event, which is going to update those variables above. And once we have all our variables and we press submit, it's going to take all those values, call our specific handle submit function in app, make an object, and then you make a copy of the array. So we're setting the final state of the array there, making a copy of the array and passing in the updated object along with it. And then in the CV portion of things, is really doing the same thing. It's taking all the entries that we got in that array there, mapping through them, and then rendering to the screen. And guys, that's really about it. The code's really almost identical throughout all the sections there. Yeah, I mean, it's going to look the same as, personal details are going to look the same as education and experience. Guys, got a little cough there. That's pretty much it. Once you get a few basic concepts down here, the project is not too bad. Once you get past, once you understand a few concepts and how state works and components and how to pass props in between different things in your project, it becomes not too bad. It's definitely a challenge for sure, but it definitely gave me lots of good practice honing in those React concepts, such as state, components, and props. So that's about it. That's what the final product looks like there. Not a work of art. Pretty shitty, if you ask me. I don't know if I did a good job of breaking down that code at all, but I hope you got something out of that. Maybe if you're stuck, maybe this will help you get unstuck, or hey, if you're done with the project and you want to see how someone else did it, like a retard like myself, how they implemented this in code, there you go. Have at it. So that's about it, guys. I'll definitely make another video here soon. Currently on the second React project, memory card. Hope to do another video update pretty soon on how the progress is going with that and what I'm learning so far. But that's about it, guys. I hope that made sense, and appreciate you sticking with me and helping me struggle through this and explain the code the best I can. But that's about it, guys. That's all I got. So until next time, take it easy.